All right, welcome back to the Certruth Podcast. This is episode 8. My name is Max Certruth. I'm joined today by my awesome co-host, Coach Marty O'Brien, and a very special guest, my close friend, two-sport captain, D1, UMass Lowell baseball commit, and the accolades just stream on from there. Shane Evans. Shane, what's going on, man?
How you guys doing? Thank you for having me.
Yeah, no problem. Now, a little guilty confession. This may or may not be the first time recording this session. We had some recording problems, but you know what? I don't really care because that gives me another chance to talk to my friend Shane here, and of course you, Coach Marty.
Perseverance. I mean, Shane has shown it right here.
Exactly.
Yeah, through this recording process.
That's perfect. So, Shane, I've gotten to know you really well over the past couple years, and especially over the past 30 minutes, as I just recorded a previous episode of this with you. But I want to talk to you a lot about your athletic achievements and what makes you such a good, well-rounded individual. And I know that's what I kind of love about you is I've learned from you a lot of things, and I think that's because you're so well-rounded. And I want to talk to you, starting first off with you're a football captain here at FIAN, right?
Correct.
So obviously, that your football journey must have been a big, wild thing, and I kind of want to talk to you about that with where you kind of started playing football, at least.
So I want to play football my whole life. I started playing flag football at a really young age, but unfortunately my mom wouldn't let me play tackle. So I actually ran cross country in middle school to try to get ready.
Oh, okay. That's new information.
Yeah, I tried to get ready for
what were you weighing?
I was like
75, 78.
Yeah, like real light. Like I was like, I got to get conditioned if I want to do this football thing because I don't know. I got pads on, got a helmet, a lot heavier. Little did I know that you need to put some weight on for that.
Oh, yeah.
So I started playing freshman tackle football in 8th grade at Norton Middle School. They called me up because the team wasn't doing too hot.
So they called up an 8th grader.
They called up some 8th graders.
Young
Shane, going in, didn't know anything, didn't know how to put my pads on, didn't really know anything what I was doing. Didn't even know all the positions, didn't know what they were, but Coach Arts helped me along the way, and I had a great time over there.
Yeah, I mean, I can come from a similar. I used to do cross country back in the day, back
Exactly.
in 8th grade. I was a
St.
Mary's Sacred Heart cross country captain. One of my probably highest badges of honor. But yeah, that's awesome. I mean, so you started really young at Norton, but I mean, I'm sure they already saw then that you got pulled up from the high school level when you were in 8th grade. So I mean, that probably gave you a taste of maybe you're a little bit. You're pretty good at this football stuff.
I was definitely smaller. It was hard to, I was getting laid out pretty much every play. Let's put it at that. But
Right. So I mean, then we kind of segue into freshman year, but you didn't go to Norton High, right? So you went to FIAN. I want to talk to you, why you decided to go to FIAN.
I definitely decided to go to FIAN because I didn't know anyone at the time, but my parents definitely wanted me to get a better education, and the sports teams were really good here. My main focus was baseball, and that 8th grade year I started to pursue football, and the Norton team was 0-11, so I was like, all right, that's kind of tough, but I know the FIAN team was doing really well at that time, so decided to make the transfer. I didn't know anyone except my twin sister and one of my best friends, Connor Hegney.
Oh, yeah?
And he unfortunately dropped out of FIAN after a month in. It wasn't his thing. Still talking to him today. He's a great guy, but the only other person I knew was my sister.
Yeah, so then that means you probably met most of your guys now freshman year of football. So talk to me. I'm sure freshman year you played just on the freshman team and
right.
Yeah, so
Correct.
had the standard season. But sophomore year, that's when you got pulled up for the first time to varsity. Is that correct?
It is.
Yeah.
It
So
is.
talk to me about that whole experience.
So I'm at practice one day, and Coach Brewski sees the tackling drills. He's like, all right, this kid's pretty good. I'm guessing that's what he said. And he was like, he came up to me. He's like, all right, kid, it's your time to shine. So he called me over to the varsity practice because I split the field, called me over, and he was like, all right, let's go get a rep in. All I see is Aiden Crump looking at me, Rob Pombriant, Matt Saunders. All the senior captains are in there.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, holy cow, what is this? My head's spinning everywhere. I don't know what's going on, but took a couple times to really get a hang of it. Matt Saunders put me on my butt every play.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Is that a big jump going from freshman to varsity sophomore?
It definitely is a big jump. A lot more plays, a lot more calling, and the speed is just a lot. It's a lot faster at that level.
Yeah, I remember I had a rude awakening. I remember my sophomore year, right before the Thanksgiving game, I was pulled up. I got to practice with the team, and I was like, okay, well, here we go. You gotta give it a shot. I remember going in at free safety, looking. Yeah, okay, so the ball is snapped in practice. I'm like, all right, here we go. I'm ready. I'm going to be physical. Yeah, I take my read steps. The hole opens up. It's Case, Dante.
Yeah.
And who's behind Dante?
Nick
Yanchuk. So I'm like, oh my God. I'm like, this is it. So I'm like, all right, but like, the coaches are
This
watching,
is my
here we go.
chance.
So I go at Dante and I go in to try to at least, get a hit on him. Close my eyes, wake up 20 yards back, and then Dante stepping over me like, yeah, you little boy. And I'm just like, all right, here we go. Then I also remember they had a play at like run. Okay, it was freezing out, right? They had a play where they'd throw it to the running back, and then the running back would then throw it up.
Yep.
But I remember I had the ball. My fingers were freezing cold. I wanted to go home. I was wearing gloves. The ball sticks to my hand. It does the most like sissy throw
Straight
ever.
to the ground.
Yeah, and I just remember hearing Coach Brooks from the sidelines go, "You throw like a girl," and I was just like, "All right, there we go." But yeah, I'm happy to hear that you had a pretty fun experience your sophomore year getting moved up. But
Yeah.
then I want to talk about, after that, you kind of went into junior year, which is when you really started to shine, because obviously before on your sophomore year, you played on special teams. Mm-hmm. But I do want to talk to you about, because I remember you telling us earlier, the North game your sophomore year. Talk to me about that whole experience.
That was a really special experience, just walking out of that like little brick, it was stone building, running out, and little kids, little North kids are like, "You guys suck."
Yeah.
Coach,
Except for Logan Messier, who was probably like, "Go Fian!"
Yeah. All I remember is I was like right there, and Coach Bruce, he's like, "Shut up, shut up." And I was like, "Oh, like this is real. Like we're not playing anymore." Like so, I walk out. Billy Roach is like hyping up the North crowd,
as he did.
Yeah, it was like I was like, "All right, this is like real stuff." So I only played special teams that game, but to win that game was a big experience, and from that moment on, I knew I loved football, and I knew that's what I wanted to play.
I mean, that energy was amazing. I mean, I had been away from, because I started coaching for the first time the year before when we were, playing our COVID season, and it was just weird. It was different. It was in the spring and everything. But then I remember the energy from that, the proper warm-ups, the right crowd, grass field, old school, and then, also like a crosstown rival. I mean, that was just a ton of energy, and live sports are back. High school football's back. So it's something to the effect of like when you guys saw that, like I'm not surprised you like fall in love with football, because again, that's what it's about.
Definitely.
Pretty cool.
Yeah, that was a big moment.
Yeah, I mean, like I like the way you put it, like falling in love with football. Like that was honestly the moment for me too. I didn't play, but I remember being a freshman. It was mandatory. We all went to the varsity games, and I remember like being in that student section with my friends and just being like, where are we? The sea of white, all screaming, just baby powder flying everywhere. I even remember some of the seniors in the front row. They were making the North cheerleaders cry. I remember like looking in front, and the North they couldn't get it. Like nobody could hear them, because as soon as they opened their mouth, you couldn't hear anything.
So
I just remember crazy atmosphere, and I was like, oh, I like it here. So yeah, I mean that's got to be part of like the love of football. But yeah, going into your junior year, obviously you had a huge breakout. You played Jack linebacker, is that correct?
I did, outside linebacker, also known as Jack.
Yeah. So I mean, talk to me. Like, what was that kind of like? What was your junior year like? Some defining moments from it, and
yeah. So at the beginning of the year, I really started playing Jack linebacker, and at first it was just outside linebacker, staying right up like 5 yards off the line, holding that outside edge, containing, make sure nothing got outside of you, and also dropping back for the pass. And then later in the year, kind of started moving back. Connor McHale and I, it was called Too High, and we just we're both high, and we're looking for crossing routes just to smoke people.
Oh yeah,
it was a great experience. I remember one of the Reading games, one of my favorite hits.
Yeah.
It was when the kid number 4 came across on a post route, and I was lined up on the other side. Saw the ball coming in the air, and I was like, forget about the ball, man. I'm just going for this kid. I'm going to take his soul. Yeah. So I go full speed. I try to be fearless out there, but just go right for his ribs, try to take him out. That's what I did.
Yeah, I mean that's got to be an electric
football.
Yeah. So obviously, we had a pretty successful junior year, and then that would lead to in between during the off season, you were named captain along with 4 others. And I want to talk to you about because your senior year, I know you moved positions from linebacker to free safety, and I want to talk to you about kind of like the move, if it was difficult adjusting, what you found helped you, what aspects of being a linebacker you took into that, and just all about that.
Right, so it definitely helps to play another position and then get moved, because you know what the guys are supposed to be doing. So being a captain, it was hard to it it was hard to figure out what my job was, what my role was on the team, because when I was younger, I looked up to all the other guys, when I was Matt Saunders, Aiden Crump, Case Mankins, Dante Yans, all those guys. And, like, finding a real leader on the field as a captain was hard and guys to look up to. But I soon figured out that it was extremely easy because all the guys around me were all leaders. That younger class, all the guys were leaders. It was extremely easy. So really going back to starting at outside linebacker and moving back to free safety, knowing, like, what to do, it's kind of like being a quarterback on the defense. You can see the whole field. You can let guys know motions and everything else. If you've seen in film that a guy does this and does this, you can let your teammate know, like, hey, this is coming, different things like that, different keys.
Yeah, I mean, I know you're a really prolific film watcher, so I'm sure that there's a lot of aspects that you kind of took. I mean, I'm sure it made it a lot easier having, a lot of football knowledge from the year before, and despite position, I think that all-around athleticism is a great attribute that you have, but also a great attribute you can take into, like, anything. And I'll even talk to you later about, taking that into your baseball career. But yeah, Coach Marty, you got anything on that?
Yeah, I mean, we were talking about a little earlier too in terms of Shane. I said, what's great about this is moving positions. Like you were saying a little bit earlier too, is the fact that you can understand what is needed to support the other people on the team. Football, unlike a lot of games, is so team oriented, right? If one guy is doing something wrong, that person's probably going to be exposed, and it's going to break the entire defense, as an example.
Definitely.
So you really have to kind of know what each other's doing, and not only that, the whole team and the coaching staff and everyone, we have to understand what are people's strengths and put them in position so they can lean into those strengths a little bit more. So that's, every team's different, even every position group's different, every folks that are coming in for certain, special plays. So, understanding that and kind of, working on your weaknesses, but also leaning into your strengths, I think is a big thing. And I continue to mention to you, when you were playing, you were really good about understanding space and understanding the game and being really smart about it, right? Football, we talked about before, is angles, it's speed, it's knowing you're in the right place and sort of defending, certain areas of the field based on your position. So I think you were awesome at that. And
thank you.
It was great, man.
It was one of my favorite things was, working with the team. Football is like the greatest team sport. I play baseball too. Baseball is obviously like one of the best. It's definitely up there, but I'd say football is definitely one of the best team sports you could play, because if one guy messes up, your whole operation might go like right down the drain. So everyone's got to be doing the job. Everyone's going to do something to help out everyone else.
Think about it professionally. Like, it's funny because, like, you get traded from, in the pros. In baseball, you get traded one day versus the next. You can play the next day.
Exactly.
Because you hit and you pitch and you play the field. Like, there's really not. But, football takes a little while to kind of get into the game, get the plays, things like that. So that speaks to kind of the game.
Yeah, and I mean, obviously, you had a really successful time in the football field. I know some of the accolades, that this previous season led you to was you were, obviously our captain. You were CCL All-Star, second team All-State. So, I mean, I really do think that. I do like how you define your success by, the people around you and just some of the mental notes you took. But I kind of talk about you, Shane, in the sense of your overall athleticism, and obviously that plays into baseball too, which you're currently committed Division I to play baseball at UMass Lowell. So I'll kind of want to talk about that and then work backwards about your baseball journey. But yeah, talk to me about, what it was like being or committing to UMass, and then why didn't you choose football, or what was some of the deciding factors, and why you're going where you're going right now.
Right. So I really loved playing football, and I loved what it was about, the ultimate team sport. And I also had a great passion for baseball. I've been playing since I was real young, T-ball, starting off at a really young age. So it was really hard to figure out what I wanted to do. I've had a lot of long conversations with my parents about it, figuring out what was right for me. And I was going to play two sports at Endicott, go play baseball and football there.
Oh, wow.
And then my mom, she was like, well, that's a lot of work, like baseball and football and school, fitting that all in one. So let's just stick to one sport and figure out what you'll want to do from there. And I chose baseball because I've been playing since I was young, and I just had a love for baseball. I love the coaches at UMass Lowell. I love Coach Parisi and what they're about, and I love that program, and that's what ultimately decided to make my decision.
Yeah, and you mentioned you've been playing all your life, and I mean, that's another thing that you kind of hold on your little on your chest. One of the badges you have is that you're also going to be one of the captains this year for baseball, along with Devin and Ryan Eldridge.
Correct.
Yep.
So
that's going to be a really fun experience. But I want to talk to you about because obviously right now it's still almost getting to the end of winter. Kind of. We have a new turf field building out back for baseball, which I'm really excited about. But I wanted to grab you for this episode because, obviously you're going to be really busy during the baseball season. But what are you looking forward to this season? And so
I'm obviously looking forward to the new field they're building out there. Looks like it's coming along pretty quickly.
Yeah.
We also have a really young team, which I'm excited for. The guys that are younger are definitely leaders on the team, and also the older guys too. Everyone takes accountability for what they're doing, and we got a lot of studs this year, like Randon, Brody, all those guys.
Oh,
we
yeah,
got
shout out
BK's
Randy,
working
man.
hard. Yeah, all those guys are working really hard. So hopefully they show what they can do this year, and hopefully they're going to get a lot of college looks and do what they want to do.
Yeah, and I'm sure that they're in good hands leader wise with the 3 captains I mentioned, and I'm sure that's gonna be fun. And I was talking to you off camera. You're a utility player. You play catcher and third baseman. Is that correct?
Correct.
So you're going to UMass to play catcher, or are you still doing all around there, or what's the deal?
So I'm going to UMass to catch, but last year I played third base for Bishop Ian, and then in the summer I caught a little bit, played outfield, played a little bit of everywhere. So I can play. I'm a utility guy. Whatever they need me for.
Yeah. Do you have a favorite a favorite high school baseball moment? Because you talk about your favorite football moment.
Favorite high school baseball moment? It's hard. Like everyone, I don't know. It's hard decision.
Even it doesn't even have to be yours. Like watching one of the other guys happen, or in a moment of practice, or like anything like that.
There's so many times where it's just like enjoy watching the other guys play. Like their love for the game, their passion for the game, and how hard they work. I would say all that together combined would be a great one. And then also Joey Mulvey's home run last year. There's a little picture of it. Everyone got hyped for it.
Oh yeah.
He's stomping on the plate. That was a great home run.
That's awesome.
Big moment.
Yeah, big moment.
I forgot to ask you earlier. So, have you ever played on a turf field, and how is that going to be different?
So actually, surprisingly, a lot of the games are on turf unless you're in the south because it doesn't rain as much.
Oh, okay. So like away games here, you're saying, like other fields?
Yeah, so a lot of the fields are either really nice dirt or like turf. So it kind of reflects over. It's the same. But when we went down to Georgia and in the south, it was all red clay dirt fields.
Yeah,
So
what's it like sliding on there? That's got to be painful, no?
the turf,
Yeah.
it's not as bad as on a rainy day, you just slide right in.
On a
but-
rainy day, yeah.
Yeah, but if it's dry, you just slide right in. Like
really, that's,
tough it
Do you
up.
have to start your slide earlier? Like, how does that work?
Yeah, you definitely slide a
plan
lot
for
further.
turf slide?
Yeah, you slide a lot further on the turf, so you gotta
Oh, wow.
you gotta start earlier and figure it out.
yeah. Who would have
Think
thought?
about that.
But that's great, and I'm glad to hear that all the sports you've done and kind of the leadership role you've taken, and obviously I can get from the amount of personability you have kind of tells me, and I know this, but you're a really well-rounded person, and I want to talk to you when you're not really on duty, being a leader for football or baseball or being a player. I know personally you like to do a lot of. You're an outdoorsman. I know you like to fish and hunt a lot in your spare time, and I know you've taken me on some excursions. I want to talk to you about how you kind of got into all that stuff, because I know it's a hobby about you that a lot of people know you love to do.
Max, what would indicate that he's an outdoorsy guy?
I have no clue. It might be the getup. I don't know if I've ever seen you wear something that's not camo.
I don't know if you could have
You can
guessed.
barely see. I can never see him.
I'm sure if you hold that plant up right there, I don't even know if you'd be able to see him. Yeah, but yeah, how do you get into all that?
I started fishing at a really young age. My dad took me to a bridge, the bridge right down the street, and I caught a little fish, a little sunfish, and ever since then I loved it, and it's been a great experience. And then I kind of stopped from when I was young to since COVID hit, because I was playing baseball and doing a lot of other stuff. And then right when COVID hit, all the boys around town, we would ride our bikes, go find different fishing ponds. Cut that part out. we were fine.
All right.
No cuts in this.
No cuts. We're
All right.
live.
Compose yourself.
All right, we were
Utility man.
We were finding a lot of ponds and fishing areas to go around and lakes and stuff.
Yeah.
Getting outside.
Yeah. And I mean, I know. So that must be so fun, fishing. And I know you told me about some of your adventures with Dante fishing, which I'm sure is fun. And you've gone sharking before too, right?
I did go sharking. Yeah,
That's intense.
Put a little picture up there.
Oh yeah,
got a little shark with
I'll
the boys.
insert it right here.
I invited you, but Max, you wasn't around that day.
I
so.
was busy with, I don't know,
Whatever
probably
you were
working
doing.
at Dick's Sporting Goods or something.
Yeah, something like that. But you gotta.
What's that experience like? I've never done that.
So it's actually really fun. You go out there at night. It's
On shore or is it out?
on shore.
Okay.
You can do both, but on shore is a lot more fun because you're just relaxing, and it's fun because it's at night with all your friends, and you set all the rods up about like 15 yards apart from each other so lines don't tangle if something happens, and then you get little sand spikes, put your rods in, and you're all relaxing there, and then right when a rod goes off, it's like zzz,
And you gotta sprint.
You got to sprint to the rod, and then you take it out of the holster, set the drag, flip it over, and then set the hook.
What's your bait?
In.
What, like monster fish?
It's a little squid actually.
Oh, okay.
They're bottom feeders. A lot of the sharks around here, so they just take the squid and they just
That's cool.
eat it up. Yeah.
Yeah, I remember going me and my dad used to go deep sea fishing off the Cape, and I know using squid is a pretty popular method. But yeah, that's awesome. And I know I remember that one time you took me hunting too, and I know you're a big hunting enthusiast. I want to talk. I mean, you've done a lot, and I remember going hunting. We didn't really catch anything, or
We didn't kill anything that time because the deer wasn't quartered the right way, so ultimately we spooked it. But,
yeah.
And you fell asleep about 30 minutes in.
Okay, all right. So listen,
Let's clear this up.
Yeah.
Listen,
Let's clear this up.
here's what happened.
Mank and I were doing
Meditation.
hunting.
Actually, now that we bring it up, I remember the exact day. It was that day. It was raining out, and we had practice. Right? We're gonna set this straight right here. It was raining out. I walk out to the field with a cane, looking like the Great Gatsby. I remember I was like,
had a good look.
I was like, and then you told me
It was like late in the season, yeah?
Yeah.
Oh,
It was
Very late in the
sunny. It
season.
was like it just stopped raining and the sun came out.
Well, yeah, good enough for me to like walk without crutches. So I remember going out there, and I was like, I remember later that day, I go home, and you're like, "Yo, we're going hunting." It was me, you, and Kane, but it was still a fun experience overall. Even though I fell asleep for half of it and then left before they did. So.
You got lucky though. You did see some deer.
That's
And
cool.
We did see a buck. We
Yeah,
saw a buck.
and
Too
I got
far,
even
though.
luckier because I didn't have to say the remainder, and you guys didn't catch anything. So I
What's
didn't
the
miss out.
attire? Do you guys go
Catch anything,
orange
this
or do you
guy.
go like camo?
So it
I have a-
depends on the season you're like what you're doing. We used a bow, so we were all camo. But if you're using shotguns or whatever you have to do, you have to use orange.
Yeah, I can insert
Rules
a
of
little
the forest.
picture. I had that ski mask on. I'll insert that pic
Yeah,
of me and
gotta-
Shane.
gotta
but-
put a little-
So you
pick
said you bow. Do you bow hunt? Do you practice with the bow? Like, what's the deal?
Yeah. So I haven't used a gun. I bow hunt,
Yep.
and it takes a lot of practice because you got to get accurate, and you do that because if you miss, you don't want the animal to be hurt. Like you want to do it as peacefully as you can. So you want to practice a lot.
Yeah, I mean that's awesome.
Pretty
And
cool.
It's really cool to hear that you kind of incorporate that in your time off from all the duties you have, and that does. I mean, like we were talking in the first take. I mean, that does make you really well rounded. I think that's cool that you kind of take that to your time management. So I think that's awesome. Coach Marty, you ever hunt or anything?
No, thankfully for everybody. No, I haven't really done any of that. Like we were saying earlier. I didn't really have, my family didn't do that. I didn't really have friends. I had a few friends that did that. They did it around the holidays, and we were usually doing holiday stuff with the family. But I'm always curious about it. Coming from the backwoods of Maine, the whole LL Bean world and all that stuff. There was certainly opportunities that we would see, going up there. But yeah, interesting. I always find it very interesting.
Yeah.
And you got to have patience, right? I would think.
A lot of
And
patience. It's a lot of sitting there and just waiting.
Yeah.
It's also a good time to like think about life.
Yeah.
What you want to do.
Yeah,
and I
that's a
mean,
good point.
You could also, a little shout out. If you take Coach Marty's financial literacy class, you can always be hunting down those stocks. So
I
you
love
go.
that. How the
There you
stock's
go.
doing,
Hopefully
Shane?
we're
What do you
doing that
got?
soon.
Yeah.
I don't know what they are right now. Last time I checked, they were up.
You
I
gotta
got
check.
Apple and
Stocks are up.
Gap.
Stocks
They were both up.
stocks are up. You got to check them out.
I will.
Check them out.
But yeah, I mean, that's pretty much all the bases I want to talk on today. My overall kind of basis was, Shane, you're a really well-rounded guy. I mean, you've done a lot for me, so I wanted to have you on. I appreciate you kind of sharing your experiences with all the stuff you do with us, and that's pretty much all I got. You guys got any closing remarks?
I just want to thank you guys very much for having us on. I feel like whatever you do in the future, I'll definitely help you out with. And yeah, I think you're going to be like the next actor, like the next Tom Cruise or something. Like he's going to be doing his own action shots,
Well, maybe
He's just
yeah.
that type of
it
guy.
all
Who knows?
started here
Can sing, the
in
talent
Studio
show.
IAC 209.
But
One other thing, I heard you got a little trading card today.
I did. So I'll try to if I can find the footage, I'll insert my my first reaction off camera.
Yeah.
But Coach Marty, if you've been following the podcast, you know a couple episodes ago, Coach Marty enlightened me on the first player on the Celtics to wear number 0.
One of the first
One of
that
the
I
first.
remember
Right.
for sure.
The first jersey you bought. If that's
Correct.
Yeah.
First and the last one too. Tatum and then
Yeah, Eric Montross. Coach
Yeah.
Marty actually, the card's right over there,
We
right
got-
next to the iPad. But Coach Marty was kind enough to gift me this Eric Montross card, which I thought was really cool. So that's always something fun. I mean, I love this. It's gonna be a little bit of Certruth memorabilia, which I love. This is awesome.
I'll have to go back in the shoebox, see if we got any more. So it's pretty cool.
Yeah, this is sick. Again, I wanted to close with this because I closed it on the first take. My favorite previous Celtic, Kelly Olynyk, was just traded to the Toronto
we go.
Raptors. And Kelly Olynyk, I love you if you're watching this. So that's pretty much all I got today. Coach Marty, thank you so much for joining me again. And, of course, Shane, thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah,
Thank you very
I'll
much.
tag Shane in his socials, when the stuff goes up. But yeah, this has been episode 8 of the Certruth. Look out for new episodes and check out the previous ones. You can hit me up on the Instagram or any other way if you want to check out the merch that we got. I'm going to link it in the description below. So yeah, this has been Certruth episode 8. I'm Max Certruth signing off.